If you grew up in America between the 1960s and the 1990s, you walked through those doors. You smelled the popcorn before you even got past the entrance. You heard the intercom crackle, and if you were lucky, you heard those 5 words that made the whole store stop moving. Attention, Kmart shoppers! That store is gone now, almost completely. Before we dive in, hit subscribe and let me know in the comments where you're watching from. Saturday morning at Kmart was a family event, even if nobody called it that. You pulled into a parking lot the size of a football field, and that giant red K was towering over everything, visible from 3 blocks in every direction. The automatic doors opened, and the smell hit you immediately. Popcorn and floor wax and something warm from the cafeteria in the back that you couldn't quite identify, but your stomach recognized. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead. The floors were polished but worn from a million shopping carts rolling across them. Dad disappeared into automotive. He'd be back there for an hour looking at wiper blades and motor oil and talking to the guy behind the counter who actually knew which parts fit his car. Mom headed for housewares and clothing where Jacqueline Smith's name hung on the racks and Martha Stewart's face was on everything in the kitchen aisle. And the kids? The kids went straight for the toy department. 6 full aisles, not 3 like the other stores in town. 6 aisles of everything you'd seen on television that week, stacked floor to ceiling, close enough to touch, but not close enough to open without getting caught. You didn't buy anything most of the time. You just looked. You planned. You built a Christmas list in your head that would take 3 years to get through. And somewhere in the middle of all that, without any warning, a blue light would start spinning on a metal pole in aisle 7 or aisle 12, or wherever they'd wheeled it that afternoon, and the intercom would crackle to life. Attention, Kmart shoppers! Blue light special in housewares! 15 minutes, one deal, right now. And the whole store would pivot. Carts changed direction. People speed walked past the shoe department. Somebody's grandmother moved faster than she had all week. It didn't matter what the deal was. Towels, motor oil, dinner plates marked down 60%. When that blue light went on, you moved. It was the first flash sale in retail history, decades before Amazon invented the concept. No app, no notification, just a rotating police siren on a pole and a voice on the intercom. And it worked better than anything Silicon Valley has come up with since. When everyone was done shopping, you met at the cafeteria in the back. Yellow glass panels around it near sporting goods, a counter with stools, trays you'd slide along a metal rail, real food, burgers, hot dogs, sub-sandwiches with the lettuce shaved thin and the mustard heavy unless you asked them to go light. Some locations did liver and onions on Wednesdays, apple dumplings for dessert with a warm vanilla sauce that was really just melted ice cream, but nobody cared. The older folks would line up at 4 in the afternoon like it was a proper restaurant. You could get a ham sub and an ICEE for less than $1.50. In the 1980s, that wasn't a snack. That was lunch. Later, they partnered with Little Caesars. Pizza slices and crazy bread. Some people still swear the Little Caesars inside Kmart tasted better than the regular stores. Probably didn't, but it felt like it did because you were eating it between sporting goods and electronics while your mom was 2 aisles over comparing towel prices. Context changes everything. And up front by the registers, the ICE machine and the popcorn stand. That was the contract between parent and child. If you behaved while mom shopped, you got an ICE. Cherry or blue raspberry. 2 choices. That was the entire reward system for an entire generation of American children, and it worked for 30 years straight. A TikTok video asking who remembers the cafe inside Kmart got over 200,000 likes and nearly 11,000 comments. People don't forget the smell of popcorn mixed with floor wax. They don't forget sitting on a bench by the entrance with their grandmother, drinking something red and cold, watching people walk through the automatic doors with their bags. That was Kmart. That was what it felt like. Now, how it got there and how it all fell apart. It started with a man named Sebastian Kresge. At the end of the 1890s, he was a traveling hardware salesman who counted Frank Woolworth, yes, that Woolworth, among his customers. Kresge watched what Woolworth was building with his 5 and dime stores and decided he could do the same thing. In 1897, he put $6,700 of his savings into a store in Memphis, Tennessee, splitting it with a partner named John McCrory. They added a second one in Detroit. 2 years later, they split up. Kresge took Detroit, McCrory kept Memphis. That Detroit store became the seed for everything that came after. By 1912, Kresge had 85 stores and sales over $10 million. By the 1920s, there were over 250 stores in cities from Chicago to Pittsburgh. Nothing in those stores cost more than a dime at first. Then inflation from the First World War pushed prices to 15 cents, then 25 cents, then $1. It did not matter what the ceiling was. People came because they could afford what was on the shelves. Pots and pans, kitchen utensils, sewing supplies, toys that cost a nickel, things you needed but could not justify buying at full price anywhere else. During the Depression, while department stores struggled and small businesses collapsed, Kresge stores stayed open. Business did not just survive, it held steady. Because when money is tight, the cheapest store in town is the last one to close. That lesson would define the company for the next 60 years. And forgetting that lesson is what eventually killed it. By 1940, there were 682 Kresge stores across the country. The founder himself lived to 99 years old. He retired from the chairmanship at 96. He died in 1966, 3 months after stepping down. He saw the whole thing, the five and dime, the suburban boom, and the moment that changed everything. In 1959, a Kresge executive named Harry Cunningham started traveling not to offices but to discount stores. He visited every store he could find, and he studied what worked, what did not, and what customers wanted. He came back with an idea. A new kind of store, bigger and cheaper, built for the suburbs, built for families who had cars and time on Saturday mornings. On January 25, 1962, the first Kmart opened in San Fernando, California, a small one, almost a test. On March 1st, the first full-size Kmart opened in Garden City, Michigan. It was 80,000 square feet. 17 more opened that same year. Here's the part that matters. Walmart opened its first store 6 months later, the same year, with the same concept. Both Cunningham and Sam Walton had visited the same discount store in 1961, a place called Ann and Hope in Rhode Island. They saw the same thing, drew the same conclusion, and built 2 different empires from it. Walton would later say that Cunningham should be remembered as one of the greatest retailers of all time. That is the founder of Walmart, talking about the man who built Kmart. Remember that. By 1966, there were 162 Kmart stores and over 750 Kresge stores still running alongside them. Total sales crossed $1 billion for the first time, and Kmart was just getting started. In 1976, the company opened 271 new Kmart stores in a single year. No retailer had ever launched that much retail space that fast. The next year, they changed the name. S.S. Kresge Company became Kmart Corporation. Because Kresge stores only made up 5% of the revenue, Kmart was the whole show. By 1981, the 2,000th store opened. By the mid-1980s, Kmart wasn't just a store, it was part of the American landscape. Every suburb had one. Every small city, every town big enough for a stoplight and a parking lot. At its absolute peak in 1993, Kmart had 2,486 stores worldwide. Over 2,300 of them were in the United States alone. They employed 350,000 people. Revenue hit $37.7 billion. They were the biggest, bigger than Target, and for most of the 1980s, bigger than Walmart. Then it went wrong. It started quietly. In the late 1970s, Kmart's leadership looked at the numbers and decided the American discount market was saturated. They thought there was no more room to grow in their own business, so they looked elsewhere. They bought Waldenbooks, Builder Square, Payless Drug Stores, the Sports Authority, Office Max, and Borders bookstores. They opened stores in the Czech Republic, Singapore, and Mexico. All of it failed or got sold off within a few years. Meanwhile, the actual Kmart stores, the ones making the money, were ignored. Some of those buildings had not been renovated in 30 years. The lights were yellowing, the floors were scuffed, the shelves looked tired, And the technology behind the scenes was even worse. Kmart never invested in supply chain systems. They could not track inventory in real time. They did not know what was selling and what was not. They were running a billion-dollar operation with tools from the 1970s. Walmart did the opposite. Walmart put everything into the supply chain, centralized warehouses, real-time tracking, and automated reordering. They drove costs down to the penny and passed the savings to customers. They expanded into rural towns where Kmart never went, small towns, farm towns, places where Kmart did not bother to build, but Walmart did. Target went the other direction, stylish, modern, clean stores with trendy products, cheap chic, they called it, and Kmart sat in the middle. Not the cheapest, not the nicest, not the most convenient, just there. One analyst said that Kmart wanted to appeal to everyone, but instead it became bland. By 1990, Walmart passed Kmart as the largest discount retailer in America. That same year, Kmart got a new logo, as if that would help. In 1991, they stopped doing blue light specials. The one thing that made them different, the one thing everybody remembered. They stopped doing it because some executive decided it was outdated. It came back a few times over the years, but it never stuck. You cannot kill the best idea your company ever had and expect people not to notice. Revenue peaked in 1993 at $37.7 billion. In 1994, it dropped to $34.6 billion, and the company posted a loss of $940 million, almost $1 billion gone in 1 year. They started closing stores. The spiral had begun. A new CEO named Charles Conaway came in around 2000. He tried to bring back the blue light special. He tried to compete with Walmart on price. He was later accused of fraud, misleading the board, and misleading investors. On January 22, 2002, Kmart filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, the largest retail bankruptcy in American history at that time. 600 stores closed. Thousands of people lost their jobs. Every store in Alaska was gone. They came out of bankruptcy 15 months later, leaner, smaller, but still alive. That should have been the turning point. Instead, it got worse. A hedge fund manager named Eddie Lampert had been buying Kmart's debt while the company was in bankruptcy. By 2003, he effectively controlled it. Then he started buying Sears stock. In 2005, Kmart acquired Sears, Roebuck & Company for $11 billion. They merged into something called Sears Holdings Corporation. Lampert controlled nearly 40% of the new company. Some people called him the next Warren Buffett. Others were not so sure. Lampert did not invest in the stores. He did not renovate them. He did not modernize them. What he did was sell things. He sold off real estate. He sold Craftsman to Stanley Black and Decker for $900 million. He spun off 235 properties into a real estate trust. He sold national brands. He sold subsidiaries. Sears Holdings sued him. The lawsuit said he had transferred billions of dollars of the company's assets for grossly inadequate consideration or no consideration at all. The word used was fraud. The lawsuit said his actions were intended to hinder, delay, and defraud creditors. They settled for $175 million. One industry writer put it this way: it was not Walmart that killed Kmart. It was not Amazon. It was one person, Edward Lampert. He is reportedly living on a private island off the coast of Miami now. The billions he extracted over 2 decades paid for it. On October 15, 2018, Sears Holdings filed for bankruptcy again. Kmart's second bankruptcy in 16 years. More closures, more layoffs, store after store after store. Every few months, another list, another dozen locations, liquidation sales where they sold the shelving units and the shopping carts and the neon signs. People walked through stores that had been part of their neighborhoods for 40 years and watched them get picked apart. In 2022, the Kmart in Hamilton, Montana closed. It still had the logo from before 1990 on the building. The one from 30 years ago. Nobody had even bothered to change the sign. That tells you everything about how much anyone in charge cared about what was left. 4 stores left in the country, then 3. Then the one in Westwood, New Jersey closed after 40 years in business. People who had shopped there as children brought their own children there on the last day. 2 stores left. Then Bridgehampton, New York. That one had survived because Walmart and Target were both a 45-minute drive away. It closed in October 2024, the last full-size Kmart in the continental United States. YouTube channels documented the final days. Reddit threads tracked which stores were still open. Facebook groups with thousands of members posted photos of empty aisles and darkened signs. People drove hours to visit the last ones, not to buy anything, just to walk through, just to be inside one more time. As of now, there are 3 Kmart stores left on Earth, 1 small location in Miami, 1 in Guam, 1 in the U.S. Virgin Islands, 3 from 2,486. Let that sit for a second. The Blue Light Special was the first flash sale in history. The Cafeteria was where families sat down between the towels and the lawnmowers and ate hot dogs together. The parking lot was where your dad taught you how to stay between the lines. The toy aisle was where Christmas started in your head. The ICEE machine was where being good paid off. All of it is gone. Sam Walton visited the same store as Harry Cunningham in 1961. They saw the same future. One of them built a company worth $600 billion. The other one is 3 stores in the Pacific and the Caribbean. Same starting point, same year, 2 completely different endings. If you remember the blue light, or the cafeteria, or loading bags into the trunk on a Saturday afternoon, I would like to hear about it. What was your Kmart like? What do you remember? Tell me in the comments. If this was worth your time, consider subscribing. There are more of these stories coming about the places and things we all remember and the reasons they are not here anymore. The blue light is off, and this time it is not coming back.